So yeah, we're very excited to see you guys again. And we're very curious about maybe some of the neurons that you created or the brain cells that you created. But also, again, like any kind of questions that you've got about the brain, any kind of interests or that you want to share with us, we're very excited to learn more. And I see Zachariah, is it, has their hand raised?
Mister, this is my first class, me and my sister Miss, and I didn't do the activity.
Oh, no worries. That's no problem at all. In fact, we like
Right.
the idea that maybe somebody, some people actually made some cells. We actually made some cells ourselves too that we can share. But it's a good way to kind of maybe, talk a little bit about, some of the parts of the different, parts of the cells and learn about it. So you don't have to have done it at all. And welcome, actually. Is it Zachariah or Zachariah?
Zakaria.
Zachariah and Misk. Thank you guys both for joining us this morning. So Abdul Rahman, did you make a brain cell?
I actually was at an event and I will actually add a picture here, but so the ceiling had brain cells.
Oh my God.
And it's the Center for Brain Health here in Dallas. And it was so great. And it's not only that, so the room that we were in shaped like a brain and based on like from outside, so you can see it like a brain. And they told us that it's kind of the prefrontal cortex of the building, like the way
Wow.
they've designed. So I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah. Hey, I
Yeah.
was realizing, do you want to all let's maybe start by introducing ourselves. Is that a good idea? So we can hear who everybody is again. Abdul Rahman, do you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Abdurrahman, and I'm a neuroscience graduate student at UT Dallas, and I've been visiting the students here in Gaza for the last few months and providing them with neuroscience education. And yeah, I'm so excited to see them here and to have you all here.
That is fantastic. Natalie, do you want to introduce yourself? Mhm.
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Natalie Robison. I went to PSU and learned from Bill and Jeff, and now I am doing neuroscience research at University of Washington, where right now I'm researching sleep and circadian rhythms. So if you have any questions about that, I would love to chat about it.
That's awesome. Austin, do you want to introduce yourself? I'm just going in line with my rectangles here.
Yeah, sure. My name is Austin, and I am a PhD student at the Oregon Health and Science University. I've been doing it for about 3 years, and I have several projects, but my research mostly surrounds how different types of brain cells connect to each other and how we can understand how circuits connect from various parts of the brain.
That's super cool, actually. Angelique, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I am a graduate student in Oregon, and I study octopus vision and how octopuses are thinking about what they see in their brain and kind of how they're able to create a picture of the world around them.
That's fantastic, actually. Uh, okay. And Angelique, some of her colleagues came to an event in Portland recently and presented about, how octopi actually can see, like parts of the brain that are involved in seeing, which was really interesting. Katie Ray, do you want to introduce yourself?
For sure. Hi, I'm Katie Ray. I'm one of Bill and Jeff's students as well, and I'm studying mental health management within the neurodivergent population. So I'm studying brains that work a little bit differently and how emotions work physiologically in our body.
That's very cool. And you actually had a role in putting on this event, right? What's called Noggin Fest. What's Noggin Fest?
Noggin Fest is very fun. So it's a big brain fair and art festival where we make all kinds of art about the brain. We have musicians come and we have scientists come, and we share all the latest information, and people can ask questions and get answers straight from scientists who are doing research. And we also have a lot of fun physical tactile things that you can do, like the human interface. I don't know if you guys have talked about that. Or you can hold a real brain, kind of check it out, which is very exciting. Make all kinds of arts.
That's awesome. Thank you. And let's see, Becky.
For using this for so long, I'm still so bad at it. Hi, I'm Becky. I'm also a student at PSU with these guys. I am looking to go into counseling school next year to become a counselor. And I'm sitting in front of my brain cell on my table here, and I'm like so excited to share it with you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Becky makes amazing brain cells.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and let's see, Jeff.
Oh, right. So I'm Jeff. Like Bill said, I teach with him up at Portland State University, but I am an artist and I'm here in my studio. I actually made some giant neuron prints, which are behind me. So I'll show those to you later too. So
you're frozen on my
fun to me.
screen. Oh, you just came back, I think. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to do this in my studio, so I think my connection's not great in here though. So we'll see how long it lasts. I may have to go inside now.
Those are pretty cool. All right, you guys. So do you have any questions for these folks to start with? Are there any questions? Like, I remember last time, there were like a lot of questions that were pretty awesome questions. If you have more questions you want to start with, we're very happy to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, we also have a lot of brain cells to show you. So we can do a little of both. Oh, that is an awesome cell.
This is really nice.
Oh my God. Mohammed, that's fantastic. That is the best neuron. Oh my God, that's so cool.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Kadada.
I'm sorry.
need 4.
That is very cool. What are they made out of? What is the neuron made out of?
I want to show you the neurocell.
Hi, Muhammad. Yes, please show it to us.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool.
That's really neat.
That is pretty awesome. That is very, very cool.
It's big too. It's like a human-sized neuron.
That is nice.
Mohammed, that
So
is
good.
so amazing. I love all the colors. How did you choose the colors? Like what like you just like you like different colors for different parts of the neuron?
Yes.
Well, actually, if you want to hold your neuron up, I'll bet, some of us could tell you like the different parts, or maybe you could tell us what the different parts are too. Could you hold your neuron up again, like so we could see it? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so if you point to the top, right, and you can see all these parts that branch off, can you point to your neuron there? What's at the top? So who can help Mohammed with what these parts are called? Austin, you study the brain, right? And neurons.
Yeah, so those would be the dendrites. So that's where like the ears of the neuron are, meaning that's where signals from other neurons arrive and communicate with the neuron that you're holding.
And so what does dendrite mean? Anybody can answer this.
Well, dendrite is a Greek word and it means branches. So the top of your neuron there, how it looks like a tree, like it has all those branches coming off. That's why they named it dendrite.
So how do you say branch? Or, maybe you see something different. Maybe it looks different than a branch to you. One of the things we like is if we can rename some of the parts. So how do you say branch in Arabic, for example?
Come on, guys. What's branch in Arabic? Anyone can unmute from the students.
Branch in Arabic means zither.
Jither.
So
Yeah,
we
that's
should
right.
we should rewrite it. It could be zither. Can you say it one more time? Sorry.
Raya, can you say it
say
again? Yes.
jither.
Zither. Is that right? Did I get it sort of? Okay, good. So I will run it after this. Send me like some of the words that we come up with. Actually, it'd be kind of cool to rename the neuron and do the Arabic neuron. It would be super cool. All right, Mohammed, or does somebody else have a neuron they want to share that we could just look at another part? Oh yeah, Hussein.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my name is Karim Khalil Abu Khalyon. I am from British International School and I'm a student from year 7. And I just wanted to tell you that neurons known as nerve cells are found in the brain, spinal cord, and the nervous system.
That is absolutely true. How about octopi? Are there neurons there too?
Yeah, there are a lot of different animals that have a very similar setup to that. And there are also some animals, I guess, that have kind of a different setup. So, for example, in the octopus, they don't have like a spinal cord, but they do have a big brain kind of in their head. And then they've got kind of what people call little brains or these little centers of neurons all throughout their arms.
That's very cool. So their nervous system with the brain cells, the same kinds of neurons, are in the brain too, but they're also in the 8 arms, right? Are they found at the top of and then they extend down into the arms? Are there ganglia or like clumps of neurons? Okay, very cool.
Yep, the ganglia kind of towards the lower kind of base of the arm.
Okay, that's really interesting.
So in one of our classes that we took with the students, we came across few marine creatures who, according to our understanding, did not have a nervous system. So let's ask the students if they remember that, because we just like briefly touched on that, but maybe Angelique could tell us if that's true. So students, do you remember any creatures that we said? Because we said that mostly every creature have a nervous system. So do you remember? I think there were 2 creatures we said that did not have a nervous system. Anyone remembers? I think Zakaria has input. Yes, Zakaria.
I think the hippo.
You think the hippo?
Yeah.
True, because so the hippo in our classes, the hippo did not have one thing in the nervous system, in its brain, but it did have a nervous system, but it did not have something in the nervous system. So you're very close. But the question here is like creatures who do not have nervous system at all, like they have complete something else. Raya?
Fish. Jellyfish.
One of them was jellyfish, so maybe Angelique could tell us if jellyfish do not have a nervous system, but because based on at least my research, it did not have.
Yeah, yeah, jellyfish don't have a brain like we do, but they do have a bit of a nervous system. They've got what they call nerve nets. And so you can kind of imagine when you have a net that you want to catch a bunch of things with, it kind of is almost a series of squares or like crosses. And that is kind of what their neurons do. It's just a big kind of cross across the body, but not bundles of like tight brains like we have.
Okay. Zakaria, you have something to say?
I think because of that, the jellyfish have some electric things.
Yes, they do actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, what's interesting, they tend to just float, right? They move around like this while like an octopus or us or a hippo like moves forward, moves to the side. You know, it's I think is that correct actually, Angelique? They are more they're not as intentional in some of their movements potentially, or they're
Yeah, so some jellyfish can have kind of their own self-driven movement, and they can move on their own kind of by, they've got kind of the umbrella and they can like squeeze it up and down to swim away. But a lot of jellyfish are kind of so light, they don't have a lot of material inside of them that they can just get pushed around by the waves. So they don't have to swim, they just kind of float around with the water.
wow. Mhm.
So cool. I think Karim had something to say.
No, sorry. Oh, I think I think this sponge is a sea creature animal, and it doesn't have a nervous system.
I think so too. I think so too. The sponge do not have a nervous system, or at least communicates in different ways than we do.
I think Austin was suggesting that right in his comment.
He was giving yeah. There was a hint in the in the comments. Mohammed, do you have something to add?
Also, starfish does not have a nervous system.
Exactly. That was the second example that we came across in our classes. So, what are your thoughts on this,
Yeah,
Angelique or anyone?
Birds of the sea here.
Angelique is our marine expert here.
Yeah, I don't know as much about starfish. They, I guess, again, don't have kind of a brain like we do, but they do have kind of these neurons and they are able to kind of move and feel. I have a really cool video that I will see if I can send to you guys of kind of the, we're used to seeing the outside of the starfish that's like purple or pink and it kind of has these bumps on it. But then if you turn it around, it has hundreds of legs and all these legs can move. And I have a cool video of that.
Yeah, I found a reference says the nervous system of a sea star or a starfish, right, is characterized by a nerve ring that surrounds its mouth and connects to each individual arm through a radial nerve. The muscles of each tube foot are stimulated by the neurons connected to the radial ring and ring nerve. So it does have a, like, again, like a net, kind of like a jellyfish more, right? Or something, not a brain so much, but. Kareem, did you have a question?
Well, a starfish does have a nervous system, but a starfish, also known as a sea star, it's quite different from the human's nervous system. So Muhammad Qadada is right.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Angelique, would you agree? It's very different. Exactly, yes.
Yep, very different. They still have a nervous system, but it just isn't like ours at all.
So, Mohammed, do you want to say something or?
Starfish has a sensory organs.
Yes. I think that's absolutely true. They can sense things, right? They can respond to things around them the same in some ways like we do, right? We also respond to things around us. So we have specialized cells that can respond, to energy that's inside or outside of us, right?
And they're part of the nervous system. So the nervous system is the kind of the hub for these sensory cells, because we know that everything that we sense just kind of has to go through our nervous system and process there so we can actually know what we are sensing.
Yeah.
So
and respond, right?
yeah, and that's why every creature, although they might not have a brain like we do, I would assume that they kind of have their own version of a nervous system, or a nerve something, because that's how they can understand and walk around in their environment or swim around.
Yeah, one of the nice things is, if you guys made these cells, right, they have this wire-like component often, and that actually can carry information, right, about what's outside you, within and send it into, linked networks of these cells, and relatively quickly, because it's electric current that is traveling down these wires. And you need in this world, right, to respond quickly sometimes to things that are happening around you.
Zachariah, you have a comment?
Or Misk, right?
Yeah,
Or Miss?
it's me, Zakaria. I think the nervous system is related to the cutting of the hand of the starfish, because when it's get cutting, it comes back.
I think you're talking about an octopus, not a starfish.
We're back in Angelique's territory.
I think they're both regenerative. They both have regenerative properties. So I think both of them can regenerate parts of their nervous. Well, I don't know about octopuses, but I know starfish can regenerate arms, and that comes with the muscles, the nerve cells, and the other aspects of the arm are regenerated.
Austin, why can't we regenerate our arms?
You know, for a lot of reasons, but I'll spin it. I won't answer it directly, but I will say that it's a good thing that our cells aren't always growing like crazy. Our body does a good job of actually stopping our cells from growing out of control, because that's how you get cancer. So,
Yeah.
I would trade not being able to regenerate an arm for my cells not growing like crazy all the time.
Especially in the brain, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially in the brain, yeah.
Not a lot of space.
Farah, you have a comment?
Huh?
Just a question about like the brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About like human and animal brains. Like do they work the same? But like since animals can talk.
So there is a lot of shared like architecture, like similar neurons, similar, kinds of organization in a lot of different animal brains, actually. We share a lot of the same kind of brain structures with all sorts of animals, actually. The outer surface of the brain, for example, in mammals, like, a dog or a cat, et cetera, and a monkey and us too, it's called the cortex, which means bark in Latin. And we have a cortex and they have a cortex. We have similar areas that are involved in like smell or taste or, touch and vision. So yeah, there's a lot of shared, architecture. When we were at this Noggin Fest event, actually, some of Angelique's colleagues brought some models of octopus brains, though, and they have a really unique kind of structure compared to, mammals like us, actually. So their brains looked very, very different than ours did, although they had areas that were also dedicated to seeing, right, and to, touch and things like that too. So they still shared some aspects, with our brains. I don't know, Angelique, if you wanted to add to that, but or if anybody wants to add to that.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
So I think about this question all the time, and one of the things that's most interesting to me is, what are the similarities versus what are the differences between human brains and other brains, and how does that allow us to do certain things that other animals can't, and how does that allow other animals to do things that we can't? But in general, I agree, what Bill said is very correct, which is humans and other animals do share a lot of features of their brains. And that's actually why scientists like me, we can use the brains of other animals to understand our own brains. So in my lab, I mostly use mice. So I study how mice brains connect with each other, or connect, what the connectivity between mouse brains is, and what happens whenever there's neurodevelopmental disorders modeled in mice. And the reason why that is useful and tells us something about humans is because there are a lot of shared qualities between us and mice or other animals. And I actually have a little jar. You won't be able to see very well, but I have a little jar of mouse brains right here. And I collected these mouse brains, and I'm trying to understand autism in my research. So we can actually model different forms of autism in mice. And whenever we look at these brains, it tells us something about the brains of people with various diseases and disorders, including autism.
That's incredible. Did somebody have a hand? I saw briefly a hand raised, but
Ragad, I believe.
okay. Oh, I love the axolotl. Actually, I love saying the word.
Ragad, do you have a comment? Okay, we have a comment from Zakaria Ormisk again.
Also, an axolotl can regenerate its limbs.
Yeah. So I was thinking, do you guys want to show a neuron? And we can start if you'd like, actually, because I know that Natalie has a really beautiful one that she created. And you want to tell us a little bit about your neuron? And we can you can share screen. I made everybody a co-host. And if any of you guys want to share your screen to show us an image, or we can have that happen too. Natalie, go for it.
All right, let me get this set up. Okay, can you guys see that all right?
That's super cool.
So I was
That's cool.
doing work at the sleep lab, and the tools that we use to measure brain activity, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. The best thing would be to look deep into the brain, but that can be dangerous and really invasive. And so these are called electrodes. And what they do, you attach them just to the scalp, to your skin, and they pick up electrical activity. And so at least on the surface level of the brain, we can see what parts are generating more electricity than others. So here are the dendrites, and these little metal scoop shape things, these are the parts that attach to your scalp. And so the metal conducts the electricity, and then it travels down the wire. Here we have the nucleus, just something that was on the desk that I was at, in the cell body. And then the message travels along the axon. It's got some myelination, some myelin sheaths there. And then here at the end, the signal travels to the synapse and at the axon terminal. And this little bit is where we plug in the wire to this main box that just gathers all of them together so that we can understand what these signals mean. And so I feel like it really shows the actual pathway that electric signals take throughout the neuron, as well as through these tools that we use to study neurons.
That's really cool. I like that one. I like the color on that one too. It's very beautiful.
Thank you.
It reminds me a little bit of Muhammad's neuron with all the colors.
Yeah, no, that's like the most fun part for me is just color coding everything.
So I'm forgetting, and I'm going to write this down. How do you say branch in Arabic again for the dendrites? Who can tell me and who can teach me some Arabic? Yeah, Ragad.
A branch in Arabic is mean غصن.
Okay, cool. So actually, I know that Abdul Rahman is going to actually write this down and send this to me, so I can remember it. And what would you
I
say?
will.
What is an Arabic word? Like when you look at Natalie's like the cell body there, like we call that the cell body. She wrote that there. Another word, it's from Arabic, or sorry, from Latin again. We say soma. Soma means body in Latin. What do you guys see? What does that look like to you? Does it look like a body, or it could look like something else? And what word in Arabic would you want to call that? Actually, what would you want to call that? Raga.
But just a question because I cannot hear you. You want to explore the name of what?
Of the cell body. We use, usually in science, we call it the cell body. It's the body of the neuron, right? It's where the DNA is found. It's where the instructions for building the cell are found. But they also call it soma, which is Latin for body. So is there an Arabic word for body or that, might be good to use? Yeah.
I think body it means جسم.
Okay.
Cell body means خلية الجسم.
خلية.
جسم الخلية.
There's a lot of great names. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so this is great. So Khaliya is actually what is the Arabic name of a cell. So all of this, what you're seeing on the screen is all of it is a cell. So as you can see, we here have like three parts. We have the cell body, which is this part. Yeah, this part, and then we have this long extension, this long extension, which is called the axon, right? And it's a very long extension that information will travel through it, reaching the end. And the end, it's called the terminal, the axon terminal. So we have the long axon, and at the end, we have the axon terminal, which is basically where information are gonna leave, go do their next thing. So all of these cell body plus axon terminal, these three elements are the cell, right?
Actually, the dendrite too. Don't forget
And the dendrites, yeah. And the dendrites. So it's four elements. So we have the dendrites, the cell body, the axon, and the axon terminal. All of these four are the cell. So what we can do here is that we want to translate in Arabic, which is very fun to do. So let's start with the translation of dendrite, then the translation of cell body, then the translation of axon, and then the translation of axon terminal. And then later we can just put them in an Arabic translation.
Can I say also one of the things
Yeah.
we found so much fun about this is when we were visiting a class in like it was a majority Native American school in Oregon actually. The kids were saying we could actually just rename it too. Like we could maybe instead of saying branches because the kids said they thought it looked more like needles of a tree, like tree needles. So they called it tree needles and they used a different word. They used the word quidi, which is tree needle in Dene, which is the language that is used by Native American tribal groups in, or some of them in Oregon. So you can call it something else. Like it was funny, the axon, they used a word that meant long and skinny because the kid who wanted to name it, he said that's his nickname because he was long and skinny. And then they decided to call it long and skinny lightning, like because it carries electricity. So you can come up with better names than the scientists who named everything in Latin, if you want to. So what do you see? What do you think an axon? What does this look like to you? And what would you call it? What's a
A
good name for it?
stem.
Like a
A
spine.
stem.
It's look like a spine.
A
A
spine.
stem.
A stem
A
or a
stem.
spine. Those are cool names, actually. Yeah. Huh? How do you say that in Arabic?
محور عصبي.
Mehawer
Stem.
I
Stem.
got halfway
It
through there.
means
محور عصبي.
What does that mean? Is that stem or is that spine? That's spine, right?
That's fine. Yeah, that's
Oh,
fine.
very cool. All right. So actually, Abdul Rahman, would like write this down and then so we can add all the kids, like all their ideas about like what we would call these different parts would be really cool.
stem means جذع.
Does it look like anything else?
Stem means جذع.
Giselle. Hmm?
Jada. Yep.
No,
As a stem.
جذع. Yeah,
Giselle.
جذع.
Yes.
Giselle. What else do you see anything else in it? What else does it look like?
Look like a rope.
Like a rope. Sure, you can call it the rope. How do you say that in Arabic? Hmm?
حبل. حبل.
Abe?
حبل.
Abi. Hmm? Is that right or no?
حبل.
حبل حبل.
Habel.
All right. So
Habel.
what about the endings here? What about the axon terminals? These pieces, what do they look like to you? And what would you want to call them?
Root.
You writing that down, Abdul?
So Muhammad suggested
Some kind
roots.
of
Roots.
Yeah.
It does look like roots. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say that in Arabic? Hmm?
جذور.
Juvur. Hmm? Very cool. Hmm? Actually, Katie Ray or Austin or
I
Angela?
think axon terminal is
Sorry?
We didn't hear you, Ragat. Can you say that again, please?
I think that axon terminal is called in Arabic is طرف المحور.
Cool. Okay. Cool. So Katie Ray or Austin or Angelique or Becky, do you guys see anything in there that you would want to rename it? I mean, you've been working with these neurons for a really long time, right? And
I
but
think
do you ever want to just
the
rename it?
stem body would look like a branch, like
I always think they look like
mean,
fingers.
Fingers. I like fingers. How do you say fingers in Arabic?
They pass messages back. and
أصابع.
forth.
أصابع.
أصابع.
All right, let's put that one down. That's good.
I like that, and it's also like we know from the way neurons work is that they have to like hold each other's hands in a way, and yeah, and the dendrites play that role of connecting with the cell with the incoming cell. So it's holding each other's hands.
Yeah, you can think about like, what do these parts do? And name them after what they do. You know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like the analogy of like mouth and ears, like the listening part and the talking part of the neuron. You know, I feel like that can be helpful to know functionally what's happening at each of it's like a game of telephone, right? Like the mouth of one talks to the ears of another, and the mouth of that one talks to the ears of the other, and it just passes down a chain. So, you know, you got to be able to listen to your inputs and communicate your outputs. So I've always enjoyed that analogy.
So what do you call the dendrites then? Like the microphone or the ears or
The ears, yeah.
How do you say ears in Arabic?
Wooden.
Ozone.
Well done. Okay, good, cool. And how do you say the other end is the mouth, right? How do you say mouth in
Thumb.
Arabic?
Thumb.
That's awesome. So your cells, your neurons have ears and they have mouths. They listen and then they speak, right? That's actually pretty cool. Do you want to, let's see, do you want to see another neuron? Who can show us their neuron then? Who
Sure.
wants to take control? Who brought a neuron? Becky, let's see Becky's neuron. Becky wore a kind of hat that had lots of fingers or dendrites or ears coming off the top at Noggin Fest that she made, which was fun. She was a neuron. She turned herself into a neuron.
I did. I did. So let's see. Hold on.
Do you have your neuron hat?
I can go grab it.
No, that's okay. Well, you can start with this, but then you should wear it.
Actually, hold on. I will just do this. Come on. There we go. Okay. This apparently is really hard to focus. Come on, focus. Let me try
Could
turning
it be your background is like
Okay.
set to blur?
I think maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good point. Yeah. Ah, now we can see the background. Now we can see the roof, the ceiling. It looks kind of
Okay.
like neurons too. Oh, that's beautiful.
So this guy is a bunch of pieces of animal, things that animals discard when they're done using them. So at my top, at the branches or the dendrites, I have snake skin, and these are their little, you could even see their little heads in there.
Wow.
My daughter has a snake, and so every time the snake sheds, we keep the shed, and then we like put them in sequential order to see how big the snake gets.
Wow.
And then at the cell body, I have a seashell, and each seashell is made from a different sea creature. So that's pretty cool. That's why you find different seashells, even on like different sides of the same island, which I think is so cool. And then we have peacock feathers with their nodes
Oh,
of
that's
lightning.
brilliant.
And then at the bottom, we have more feathers and smaller seashells as the neurotransmitters. And that's how the mouth talks to the next neuron, is that they send out chemical signals instead of the electricity that they use to kind of like send down their axon. When it gets to the end, it sends chemicals out to the next neuron so that they can communicate. So that's my animal neuron.
That's very cool. So do you guys have more names that you might want to think about for the dendrites now that you see like the snake skin and the seashell for the cell body? Yeah, Zachariah?
جلد الحية.
جلد الأفعى.
Yeah, that's the Arabic translation for the skin of the snake.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
So the dendrites
Yeah.
are the skin of the snake. Actually, a pretty evocative name. I would remember that better, I think, than dendrites when I was learning about brain cells.
Yeah, it is definitely cool. And I thought that that was interesting, Austin, that you called these guys the ears when I made them the mouth.
The axon terminal, right?
Because I thought that they would be taking in, right? Taking in the neurotransmitters from the last one, you know, from the one next to it. So what would happen is at the axon terminal of one, it would shoot out these little chemicals and then it would be received in from the next one.
That is super
That's why I put those on that direction. So I thought that was interesting that you interpret it differently.
I'm imagining like that neuron hissing. To get stimulated.
Yeah, and then like the rattle at the end, I could have done.
Well, some rattles at the end would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Great job. I like it so much.
So cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so colorful and cool.
Keep your hard work up.
So perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. Jeff, do you want to show us your neurons? It looks like you have a bunch back there and your signal's a little stronger, right?
I do, yeah. I've been trying to move around. So I put up, I made these.
Oh, we might lose you.
Of plants, and I used the kind of printmaking, if you can hear me. So let's see. My back.
You're back-ish. Yeah. You freeze every once in a while. If
It's
you move
with
over
the
to the
Too much of it, but you can see. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we can see them. Wow.
from the pen.
Yeah, so I used a I used a printmaking method where I put ink on that and printed those from that. So, but yeah, I like the plants because they actually share a lot of the same sort of growth patterns, or the way that they grow is very similar. And the branches, I used cedar leaves for the dendrites, and ivy for the axon, and then some roots for the axon terminals, because I think they're really a lot like roots. So
that was what was it Zachariah? Somebody mentioned or called them roots.
Yeah,
right?
and I like all the plant things. They kind of grow in those patterns where they're the plants are seeking sunlight or water, but the neurons are actually seeking other neurons. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to show you a few neurons here that we've done before. Sorry, my screen is a little messy. Let me move this over here. But here are some that are made out of glasses and wooden spoons and forks and whisks and things from a kitchen, right? You guys use Legos? These are some Lego neurons. This is from one of our students that Jeff and I teach at Portland State University. And these are special kinds of cells that respond to light, basically in your eyes. So they're located in your eyes. We have two different kinds of like kind of responsive cells. Actually, there's a third too, but we have rods and cone cells, and these have a rod-like extension, and this is more of a cone shape back here. So they look very different than the neuron that we showed you. So you can make any kind of brain cell. This is what Jeff showed you, I think, last time for how to make these found object brain cells. And it includes like just looking at the ground sometimes. You'll see like the cell body, right? You'll see the fingers or the ears or the mouth, right? You'll see the wire, you'll see the axon terminals. You can see that all over. We've actually sewn them actually too out of fabric and pieces of fabric. This is actually if a bird drops something on the ground, it sometimes splatters
Oh my
and
God.
quite a bit like a neuron. Actually, it's amazing how many times it looks like a neuron. It's kind of incredible. And these are like dice that are used for let's see here, for various games and things like that. And this
We
is
could use beads.
yeah, you can use beads. Actually, beads are really great to use for neurons, actually. And you can string them, right? So you can make it so the whole thing can hold together. This is an iris. It's a kind of flower. And if you get in really close, you can see like all these like parts that look like it's a part of a neuron. And this is somebody who has a dog and they have a lot of dog toys. So they made it into a brain with the spinal cord going down, which I thought was kind of cool. Jeff, you can explain this one. What's this one?
That's our that was a neuron somebody made in Minecraft, video game. But you can't see it in that picture, but it actually would like light up and explode
At the axon terminals.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's one made out of different flowers and plants, right? Including tree needles here. Here's one like in the fall, we like to carve pumpkins. And so this is one that was carved in the shape of a neuron with the soma and the dendrites and the axon terminals. Here's one that I just like. This was a cool plant that was growing that just looked a lot like, it was a neuron, right?
This must be a cool phenomenon with that flower.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
really
a cool phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful. It's like a succulent plant. It's a really cool plant that stores a lot of water and it's in these leaves and things like that. It's a really beautiful kind of plant, I think. I like the color on it too, how it changes. And this we had a student who's from Hawaii, and they created a Hawaiian style neuron made out of like plants that you find basically in Hawaii, and they renamed it, renamed the different parts actually here too.
Oh, with the pineapple leaves.
Isn't that
It's
cool?
actually a good creation.
I like that one a lot. Yeah, that's like an edible neuron. You could eat that neuron, right? Or parts of it. And then this was in the Netherlands, in Europe. They have a lot of this chocolate drop stuff, and they have these stroopwafels. So they made, and these are called, it's hagelslag. It's like some kind of sugar. So they made a Dutch neuron, which I thought was kind of fun.
This is the best one.
You like that because that's really an edible neuron, right? Here's one that's made out of a pumpkin pie and then a whole bunch of different candies and things like that.
All of
And
these neurons are like so creative.
I really like this. You guys, I'm sure you guys could come up with some pretty amazing ones too, actually. I mean, there's all sorts of, stuff around you. You start to, once you start seeing some of these examples too, like when you walk outside, it's kind of like, oh, that looks like it to me now. Like I find I see neurons and brain cells pretty much anywhere now. So this is like from like gloves and hats and scarves. Let's see, here's one made out of like plastic bottles. Here's one that was just, is kind of a beautiful cell body here that's made of like lichen and moss. And you can make them out of different leaves. This is like a special kind of cell called an astrocyte. These are like little candies, I think, chocolate covered espresso beans. And this is really cool. This was when we went to the Native American school um, in southwestern Oregon. There's a tradition of taking the hide, the skin of the animal, like a elk or a deer, and then tanning it. So like preserving it and making it more supple. They actually do that. They actually use the brain of the animal to make the hide more supple, and then they stitch, with needle and thread. They put these beads in here, and they're beautiful beads. So they actually created. It was from Teresa Smith, who's a language teacher and a culture teacher down there. She stitched together this beautiful beaded neuron with all the different parts, including the dendrites and the axon terminals. So there's lots of these different examples. And actually, what I'll do is, let me see. I'm gonna move this here. Let me get the site, and I'll drop it in the chat if you guys want to see more of them.
No, I can search some.
You're good, right?
Also, if some of the students who did not were able to make the found object brain cell project, you could still do it and share it
Yeah.
with us, and we'd just
Absolutely.
love to see it.
Right.
Inshallah, but I just want to think what I want to make it out of. Like, it's really hard to think.
But I'm sure you'll come up with something. Your creative mind will always know the solution for this, Karim.
Do you guys have more questions you want to ask before we, go today? I mean, because I know is it late there? It's getting late, right? Exactly.
That seed is perfect.
That's
Some
awesome.
of them is tall and short and medium.
Oh, yeah, we have more neurons. Angelique, do you want to show us your neuron first? And then also Austin, I know you made one too, right? Yeah, let's see those neurons.
Yeah, I just sent a picture of mine in the chat. I can just pull it up though. Let me see.
If you want to share, you're a host, so you can totally share.
Yeah. So this is made out of algae that was found on the coast. So it was kind of along the ocean, and it kind of washed up and is no longer attached anymore. So it had kind of died. Like when you pick a flower off of the stem, it doesn't have access to the resources anymore that it needs. So we were able to kind of rearrange it into what is a cell. And so we've got the cell body in green, and then we also have, I guess, either the ears or the mouth that's sending out, or I guess kind of receiving the neurotransmitters. And then we've got kind of a whole different type of algae here that's not quite as flowy. That one is more kind of like a stick and is a little bit more hard, which we use for the end of the neuron.
That's very cool. Hmm? Austin, do you want to show us yours as well, or?
Yeah, actually, I made one out of plant material as well, but I accidentally left it at the house. So this
Oh.
morning, I did construct this out of pipe cleaners, similar to what NorthWest Noggin does. And this is actually, if you can see this is two separate cells. So we've been talking about the neuron, which is this blue guy here, but I also included this white cell, and this is a cell called an oligodendrocyte, and it wraps itself around the axon of the neuron. And these cells here are actually really important for how the neuron works, and it helps with the speed of the signal that travels down the neuron's axon, and they're very crucial. And a lot of people at my university study, actually, they don't even care about neurons sometimes. They just care about this white cell here and what they're doing and why they're important for our brains. So I wanted to have some oligodendrocyte representation in here too.
Right, I've got this one here, Austin, and it's wrapped around the various axon.
Oh, that's awesome. That is very cool. Also, let's see if I can share my screen. I'll show you guys a cool picture. Yeah. One second. Can you guys see something blue and green?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it might be kind of blurry. Do you see these green cells here?
Wow.
These are neurons that I took a picture of, and the reason why they're green is because there's actually a protein from a jellyfish. Jellyfish can glow, and we took that glowing protein and we stuck it inside of an actual neuron inside the mouse. And if you look, this is a mouse's brain. It doesn't look like a human brain so much, but you can see all of these green neurons that are glowing from the jellyfish protein here. We can see them and study them and see their shape. And this is what I do in my research. So this is actually the cerebral cortex of the mouse, and you can see all of these glowing neurons, and you can see, if you zoom in, you can see the shape, a little blurry, but you can see these little round parts are those somas or cell bodies that we're talking about. And then this long string coming off the top is the main dendrite, or the branch that's heading towards the top of the cortex.
Oh,
so this, I think, is a pretty image. And yeah, this is what those neurons look like inside of a mouse's brain.
Super cool. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I lost my my plant matter neurons, so I figured I would spice it up with some mouse neurons.
That's awesome. You created a pretty amazing little myelinating set there too. So that's pretty cool. Does anybody have more questions or anything else you'd like to ask?
Thank you.
Thank you guys very, very
Thank
much.
you so much for your exciting model.
Yeah, we really enjoyed this. We really enjoyed listening to hearing from you guys, sharing some stories.
Thank you guys for your time. It was really fun with you, and maybe we'll and I'll be waiting for the next session.
I would love
Hopefully.
to. Maybe we can set something up for another month or so, and we can share some more neurons. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Mohammed. I love your neuron. All right, take care,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.